All right. First off, shout out to David winning a great fight against David Morrell. Incredible fight. That's what happens when the best fight the best. David Morrell is a very avoided fighter because he doesn't have that many fights, but he's a Cuban boxer, which means he's had tons of amateur experience. And it's clear that was so far the best boxing match of the year. But I say that to say this. You know what I'm sick and tired of as a fan of combat sports? Toxic fan bases filled of incels who've never fought and will never fight a day in their life. Conor fans at their peak, the worst. Khabib fans right now and Dagestani fans of those Dagestani fighters. The fucking worst right now in MMA. But in boxing, it has the worst toxic fan base of all time, and it's the Canelo fan base because they excuse everything. In this interview, David said he was the number one contender for over 3 years. And in that time, Canelo refused to fight him to the point where he got sick and tired of not being given the opportunity that he earned and deserved. So he had to move up to fight fighters who are willing to fight their number one contenders. And you know what Canelo fans do when they see this interview? They're like, "Oh yeah, he just scared. He clearly was just in it for the money. He doesn't want to fight Canelo. He doesn't care about the belts." He's like, "Bro, is that what the fuck you read into that?" Because anybody who's unbiased is going to see that in that 3 year time span. Let's break it down. Callum Smith, right? Callum Smith was the champion, yet was forced to fight Canelo on 4 weeks' notice, while Canelo had a full training camp. Not suspect at all. Billy Saunders, decent fight, but again, Billy hadn't really fought anybody and was actually winning the fight on points before he got caught. Still a good win, not the greatest. What is it? Caleb Plant, great fighter. Fought him, close fight, stopped him at the end, good win. But let's talk about throughout that whole time when he fought those guys, he could have fought David. And in that time span, David would have been the bigger money fight, meaning he would have got more money to fight David than he would have got fighting any of those other dudes. He refused to fight David because he knew he was going to lose. And after that, after he had all the belts and the number one contender is the only dude left, even someone like Earl Spence, who was avoiding Terrence Crawford for 3 to 4 years, when he collected all the belts, you know what he did? He manned up. And he fought Crawford like a man, like a true champion. What did Canelo do? He fought Jaime Munguia moving up from 160, who was originally 154 fighter. He fought Berlanga, who's a solid fighter, but who's never fought at that level and clearly didn't earn a superstar matchup like that. And in those 2 times he could have fought David. And guess what? Him fighting David would have been, at that time, the biggest fight of that year. Doesn't matter, Usyk, Fury, Crawford, nothing would have been as big as David fighting Canelo. And Canelo still took easier fights and avoided him. And the fan base is somehow excusing it and acting like this is a win for Canelo and somehow he's not a good fighter. No, this proves that Canelo is a paper champ. He's a superstar. He is not a pound-for-pound fighter at this point. He's not a great fighter. He's a superstar fighter who's protected. That's it. And if you really want to break down Canelo's legacy and why his fan base is toxic, let's fucking break it down. Canelo, because I have photographic memory, Canelo, there's an interview, I'm pretty sure it was on HBO. Canelo and his trainer were saying for the longest that he was too small to move to 160 to fight Gennady Golovkin. At this time, Canelo was 154, fighting dudes that were 147, 140, and 135, moving up in weight to fight him, like Cotto, like Josecito Lopez, like Shane Mosley. You know what I mean? Just like Amir Khan. You know what I mean? Like, you could go down the list. Like, Canelo's entire 154 one was damn near fighting a bunch of welterweights, light welterweights, and, like super lightweights. It's like, dude, like remember Canelo weight too? He had to fight at 155 because he didn't want to take drug tests and he didn't want to like have certain belts on the line. So he would fight at 155. Yeah, that's very suspect. And remember what I said. Canelo himself said he was too small to make 160 to fight Gennady Golovkin, who's a naturally bigger fighter. Yet he moved up all the way to 175 and was clearly the bigger fighter against Kovalev. But y'all don't want to talk about the rehydration clause that Canelo put on Kovalev, but y'all want to bash Tank Davis for having won against Ryan Garcia, who his next fight was caught taking PEDs and came overweight? Y'all don't want to hold the same standard? Because Canelo had a hydration clause against Daniel Jacobs. Damn near almost all of Canelo's fights at 160 to 168, he had a hydration clause. Y'all do know that, right? Fighting Beef he had a hydration clause. A high fucking hydration clause. Y'all don't ever want to bring that shit up. You know why? Because his fan base isn't real boxing fans. They're not real boxing fans. They're just happy that their guy wins. So they get to talk shit. They're basically internet trolls who latch on to a superstar. That's it. Because at no point will any honest fan see this and be like, yo, Canelo's a great fighter. Like, no, he's a good fighter. He has good wins, but he is not a great. He can't be a great if he openly failed PED test. He can't be a great if he openly avoids certain fighters. He can't be a great if he made his career fighting smaller fighters, and whenever he fought bigger fighters, he wanted to put hydration clauses on them. He fought a champion in Caleb Smith, who Canelo had a full training camp for, but somehow the champion was forced to fight Canelo on 4 weeks' notice. And people are like, 4 weeks' notice? That's not a full training camp. That's not a full training, especially for the biggest fight of your life. And you have hydration class and all that. Come on, bro. Come on, man. I said it before and I'll say it again. The Canelo fan base is ruining fan bases for boxing. Because when you see boxing fan bases, you think of Canelo fans. And they're not real boxing fans. Just like when you think of mixed martial arts fan bases, you think of Conor fans. You think of Khabib fans. You don't actually think of the real fans who actually love the sport, who respect the sport, who respect the fighters, and who hold them to the standards that other fighters hold themselves. Okay? Every fighter agrees with him. Canelo is scared to fight him, and the fact that he didn't fight him taints his legacy. You can't look at him as a great if he's not willing to put his greatness on the line. If Canelo fought him and lost, his greatness will be elevated. But the fact that he's not willing to put it on the line when he knows it's a risky fight shows that he's not a true champion. There's a difference between title holders and true champions. Paper champions and legitimate champions. I hope y'all like my TED Talk, because this is what real boxing fans are. This is what real boxing should be. The best should fight the best. And if you're not fighting the best, you can still fight. You can still be a superstar, but don't claim to be the best in the world. Keep it real.